Welcome to Tales of Kind Souls, where every story touches the heart, inspires compassion, and reminds us of the unseen beauty in the simplest of human connections. Tonight's story is about a young woman who had only $5 in her pocket when she agreed to go on a blind date. What started as an evening of uncertainty turned into something extraordinary, something that showed the power of kindness, understanding, and true love that doesn't measure itself by money. She was nervous from the very beginning. Emily was her name, a quiet girl in her early 20s who worked long shifts at a small cafe just to pay her rent. Life had not been easy for her. She had grown up in a small town with dreams far bigger than her circumstances. When her parents passed away while she was still a teenager, Emily learned quickly what it meant to struggle. She juggled school and part-time jobs, often skipping meals so her younger brother could eat. And even though those hard years had carved resilience into her soul, they also left her with a lingering sense of self-doubt. Now, years later, living alone in a noisy city, she still carried the scars of poverty and loss. She never had the luxury of buying new clothes for herself, never went to expensive restaurants, and never imagined herself on what people called fancy dates. For her, survival was the daily focus, but deep down she was still human. She still wanted someone to see her, not for what she had, but for who she was. That's when fate intervened. A friend of hers convinced her to go on a blind date. "Emily," her friend said, "you've been working so hard, always taking care of others, always worrying about money. Just give yourself a chance. This isn't about impressing anyone. This is about meeting someone who might just understand you." Emily hesitated. She had nothing new to wear, no savings, and in her wallet she counted only $5. That was all. She thought to herself, how can I go on a date with just this? But something in her heart told her she should try. So the evening came. She dressed in her best, an old but neatly pressed dress she had worn countless times before. She tied her hair in a simple bun, put on a smile in the mirror and whispered, "This is me." And that has to be enough. With trembling hands, she slipped the $5 bill into her pocket. Not sure how she would manage the night, but determined to show up anyway. The restaurant her friend had chosen was not too fancy, but far beyond what Emily would ever consider for herself. The glowing lights, the sound of laughter, the scent of freshly cooked food. It was overwhelming. As she walked inside, her heart raced. What if her date judged her? What if he expected her to spend money she didn't have? What if he could see through her clothes and her nervous smile and realize just how poor she really was? At a table near the window sat a young man. His name was Daniel. He was tall, with gentle eyes and a nervous smile of his own. He stood up when he saw her and waved. "Emily?" he asked softly. "Yes," she answered, almost whispering. He pulled out her chair for her and she sat down. The conversation began awkwardly, as most blind dates do. They spoke about the weather, about how busy the city had been that week, and about the mutual friend who had set them up. But as the minutes passed, something shifted. Daniel wasn't like other men she had met before. He didn't ask her about her job to measure her success. He didn't talk about money or status. Instead, he asked about her dreams. "What makes you happy, Emily?" he asked. The question startled her. She wasn't used to anyone caring about what she wanted. She laughed nervously. "Happy? Well, small things, I guess. Reading books from the library, walking in the park, listening to music. I guess I like things that don't cost much," Daniel smiled. "Sometimes the things that don't cost money are the most valuable." His words sank deep into her heart. For the first time in a long time, she felt safe. She felt seen, but then the waiter came with the menu. Emily froze. She looked at the prices and her heart sank. Even the cheapest item was far beyond her $5. She gripped the menu tightly, trying to hide her panic. Daniel noticed her hesitation. He leaned forward and said softly, "Hey, don't worry about the food. Tonight I just want to enjoy your company. We don't need anything fancy." He closed his own menu and smiled. "Why don't we just order something small and share?" Emily's eyes filled with tears. She nodded, grateful that he had noticed, without making her feel ashamed. They ordered one meal and 2 drinks, nothing more. And while the food was simple, the conversation was rich. They spoke for hours. She told him about her childhood, about her younger brother, about the struggles she had faced. She admitted she only had $5 with her that night, afraid he might laugh. But Daniel didn't laugh. Instead, he reached across the table, took her hand gently and said, "Emily, I didn't come here to see what you have. I came here to see who you are. And I like what I see." Her heart swelled with emotion. For years, she had believed that her worth was measured by the money she didn't have, the clothes she couldn't buy, and the opportunities she missed. But here was someone who saw beyond all that. When the bill came, Daniel paid it without hesitation. But what mattered more to Emily was that he did it without pride, without showing off, without making her feel small. He simply paid, smiled, and continued talking as though nothing had changed. After dinner, they walked together in the park nearby. The city lights glowed around them, but Emily hardly noticed. For the first time in a long while, she wasn't thinking about tomorrow's bills or her empty wallet. She was simply present, walking beside someone who made her feel valued. Daniel stopped at a bench under a tree. They sat down and he turned to her. "You know, I didn't know what to expect tonight. Blind dates are usually awkward, but this has been different." "You're different, Emily." She blushed, looking down. "Different in a good way, I hope." "In the best way," he replied. The night ended with a promise to meet again. Emily walked home that night with only $5 still in her pocket, but her heart was full. She realized that wealth wasn't measured in money. It was measured in kindness, in honesty, in the rare moments when two souls connect. And as the weeks passed, Emily and Daniel continued to meet. He supported her dreams, encouraged her, and never once made her feel less for the life she lived. Slowly, Emily began to believe in herself again. She started to dream bigger, not because of money, but because someone believed in her. The story of Emily and her $5 blind date became a story of love that blossomed not from riches, but from sincerity. It was proof that sometimes the smallest step, showing up, even with only $5 in your pocket, can lead to the greatest journey of your life. Because love, true love, doesn't count the money on the table. It counts the honesty in your words, the kindness in your actions, and the courage in your heart. This was the story of Emily, the girl who had only $5, but who found something priceless instead. And that is the heart of Tales of Kind Souls, reminding us that every person has a story worth telling, every act of kindness matters, and every soul deserves to be seen.